What does one day in Oxford look like? Well, we're going to show you.
There's a moment in Oxford where fiction and history collide. Yesterday we traveled from Edinburgh to London, trading Scottish castles for English day trips. Today we are stepping into the city that inspired Narnia and Hogwarts. Imagine you're standing in a 500-year-old hall, looking at the real architectural inspiration for Hogwarts, in a college founded by King Henry VIII, with two little girls listening to their own little headsets like tiny little scholars. And you realize this isn't just a Harry Potter stop, although it's definitely that for us. Today we're taking our kids to Oxford, in the rain, in my second trimester, to see whether this legendary literary city is actually worth it for families. We'll show you what was filmed here, what was only inspired by the movies, what we skipped, and what surprised us. And of course, how to plan a day that actually works with kids. And tomorrow, we step inside the real Great Hall at Warner Brothers. But first, Oxford. We woke up at our hotel near King's Cross and headed toward Paddington Station. And yes, that Paddington. One of my favorite parenting travel strategies is this. Before we visit somewhere, we immerse the kids at home. We watch movies, we read the books, we talk about the characters, we learn a little bit of the history. So when my girls saw Paddington Station in real life, after just watching the movie and reading some of the books, it wasn't just a train station. They were inside the story, and that changed everything. If you want kids to actually engage deeply in travel, don't skip building anticipation first. Trust me. Now we grabbed a snack, took some photos with the Paddington statue, we bought our tickets, and boarded the train to Oxford. It took about an hour. It was an easy ride. Public transportation is very low stress in most of Europe, so it was a super easy ride. We had snacks, they did a little bit of tablet time and some other little activities I brought along with us. Let me know if you want a day bag guide on what we bring with us, especially traveling with little kids on our day trips. Now after watching the rainy countryside views outside of our window, we stepped out into Oxford. Oxford was so beautiful. It feels kind of ancient in the best way. It's honey-colored stone buildings, narrow winding lanes, and the spired towers cutting through the sky. It was a little rainy, but it was soft, steady UK rain. And honestly, it made it so much better. And it stopped a little later in the day. First, we walked to the Eagle and Child. This pub is famous because C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien met here regularly as part of a literary group called the Inklings. My husband loves their works, and so do I. So he was really excited to go. Now we already knew it was closed, but we decided to go anyway, and it was still worth it. We loved the beauty of the walk, and it was really cool to see where ideas were shared that shaped Narnia, Middle-earth, and these stories have shaped so many generations, including our own, and now our kids too. After that, we decided to go to Five Guys because I have been craving it my entire pregnancy. Travel does not have to be aesthetic every second. You don't have to immerse yourself in culture every single time, and sometimes a familiar meal resets everyone. This was a popular win throughout our trip because we found one in so many of the cities that we went to. And again, it was a total pregnancy craving. And as I mentioned in other parts of this series, we decided being foodies was not in the cards for this trip. We were focused on making sure the kids eat happy because there are so many other battles we were going to be fighting along the way. Now, before this trip, I mapped out a very intentional walking route. We were going to go to the Radcliffe Camera, Bodleian Library, New College, Christ Church, so many literary landmarks, historic cemeteries, but of course we did not hit them all. And that's okay. When traveling with kids, you have to create a priority one list, and for us, that was Christ Church, which we'll get to in a minute. We passed the Radcliffe Camera, one of Oxford's most iconic buildings. It's part of the Bodleian Library system and absolutely stunning. Could we have toured inside? Yes. Did we need to? No, not this time. Sometimes appreciating the outside is enough, especially when little legs are involved, and I know they can only stomach so much history in one day. Christ Church was founded in 1546 by King Henry VIII. It's one of the largest colleges in Oxford. 13 British prime ministers studied here, and inside, it's both a college chapel and a cathedral, which is unique and gorgeous. Just wait. But truly for us, not gonna lie, it was the staircase that made us choose this as our top destination. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. If you do, give it a like. It really helps me out and allows me to continue making this free content. Now, Oxford is incredibly walkable, as you've seen, but it helps to know a few key logistics before you go. Most of the historic colleges, including Christ Church and New College, require timed entry tickets. And during peak travel seasons, they do sell out. So I recommend booking at least a few days in advance if there's one specific site you don't want to miss, especially Christ Church, since it's both historically significant and very popular for Harry Potter fans. Also, check opening days carefully. Colleges are working being academic institutions, which means closures happen for exams, ceremonies, or private events, and they're not open all day. It's not like a typical tourist attraction. You're visiting a working university. Now, everything is within about a 15 to 20 minute walk of each other, but having a route really matters. Oxford looks small on a map, yet it is so easy to zigzag and waste time if you don't plan your path intentionally, and you could be walking by one of the most historical things and you don't even know it because they're everywhere. So if you'd like to follow the exact walking route we used, including the best photo angles, key landmarks, and filming inspiration spots, I've got you covered. I've created a downloadable walking tour map inside our free resource library so you can explore it at your own pace without missing the details that make Oxford so special. Especially if you're in a bit of a time crunch and you only have a day, this will at least get you in front of some of the sites, even if you don't have time to go in all of them. This is the actual stone staircase they used in the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you watched it first. This is the moment where Professor McGonagall meets the first years, and standing there, I was totally fangirling. And now, important distinction, the Great Hall scenes were not filmed here, but the dining hall was used for inspiration for the Hogwarts Great Hall. It had the long wooden tables, the raised high table, portraits lining the walls, and you can see it instantly. But tomorrow, we'll step inside the actual film set at Warner Brothers. So stay tuned for that. But today, we're standing in the real architectural inspiration. The girls each got their own audio headsets, and this was huge. We learned while touring the Edinburgh Castle that this would be a game changer for the rest of our trip. Every time the audio headsets were available for kids, we were getting them. When the kids controlled their own learning, even something as simple as pressing play, they engaged differently. They searched for the details, they listened in each room, they asked questions, and it was so much fun. Now, the cathedral inside Christ Church was stunning. It was so beautiful. The stained glass, the vaulted ceilings, it was gorgeous. Now, of course, there are so many other wonderful minds and stories that can come out of this historic place, and we did learn a lot about them, but because we love Narnia and Harry Potter and Alice in Wonderland so much, that's what we were most excited for on our trip. We also learned about so many other amazing stories and historical figures that have attended this university. We loved learning about Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, and so many more. This is definitely a must stop on your trip. So the cloisters here at Christ Church were actually used for filming in the early Harry Potter movies. Now, if you look closely at these beautiful stone archways in this open courtyard, you might recognize them from scenes where the students move through the corridors at Hogwarts, including the moments in the first film when Hermione shows Harry the trophy awarded to his father. That is in truth one of the reasons why we came here, just like the staircase. But after visiting, I was just in awe of the beauty of these amazing archways. The architecture was absolutely stunning. And even if I didn't like Harry Potter at all, this place is worth a visit. Now, after the tour, we let the girls run. Here's a pro tip for you when traveling with kids. Walking is not enough exercise for kids, even if they walk for miles. If they are not making the choices, running free and climbing, jumping, rolling, wiggling, being silly, it's almost like it doesn't count. We found a log in the garden and they climbed, they laughed, they burned energy. That 5-minute reset saved the rest of the day. Now, traveling with kids isn't about constant structure, it's about a little bit of strategic freedom. Now, there were so many other things that we didn't get to. We didn't get to go to New College, we didn't get to go inside the Bodleian Library, and everything else on my ambitious adult itinerary. But we chose this, and that's okay. It was still so much fun, and it was a full day. We got to see the grounds, and we got to walk Oxford a little bit more. My husband even got to visit one of the historic cemeteries that he wanted to go to. I loved watching the girls engage with history in a different way. Remember when I said we watched Paddington prior to coming to London? Because we strategically wanted our kids to get excited about seeing certain landmarks and experiencing certain places? Well, that's the same thing we did. We watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the first time, and we read the first book about a month before coming. And this got our kids excited about seeing even this staircase. They were there. They were actually in Hogwarts in their minds, which was adorable. Now, we live right beside Universal Studios, so they visited Hogwarts in different ways before, but this was different. Now, on the way back, we grabbed a donut, boarded the train, and returned to London, arriving at King's Cross. Like I said, we've lived near Universal Orlando, so we've seen Diagon Alley, we've rode the Hogwarts Express, but standing inside the actual King's Cross station, it's so different, and it's so cool and a little surreal after watching the movies a million times. Now, platform 9 3/4 is actually there for a photo op, and while it's not the actual platform 9 3/4, headquarters. I mean, it's not between platform 9 and 10. It's still really fun. And you better believe that we took that photo op and we went browsing in the shop, and the girls had so much fun. Now, tomorrow we actually stepped inside Warner Brothers studio tour in Watford, and the girls wore their robes, and we visited the real sets, the actual Great Hall, the props, the costumes, and it was one of our favorite day of the entire trip throughout Europe. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one if you are in any way a Harry Potter fan at all. If I think back to our trip in Oxford, I'm reminded about the fun times of connecting stories to real places. When your daughter stands on the staircase they saw in a movie, or when you recognize architecture from a book, it changes how we experience both the history and the world around us and the stories that we love so much. It makes our imagination tangible, and it makes the history come alive. My husband and I could have spent a few days in Oxford, honestly, but I'm glad we got to experience it as much as we did. If Oxford or London is on your list, I have put together a full London itinerary guide that includes day trip breakdowns, train strategies, prioritizations if you have kids, some of the must-sees, tips and tricks, etc. You can download that in the description box below. And if you're curious how we booked this entire Europe trip using points and miles, I'm also putting together a beginner-friendly guide for that inside of our free resource library. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our Warner Brothers studio tour, our exact walking routes to see many of the historical sites in London, going to Windsor, multiple cities in Spain, Gibraltar, where I got bitten by a monkey, and the French Riviera. Now tell me in the comments, would you rather visit Oxford for Harry Potter or C.S. Lewis or something completely different? If you're dreaming of traveling Europe with kids, but you're not sure where to start by watching the full playlist of this Europe season, but you can always send me an email and I can personally help you plan. Adventure is possible even with little kids, and we're here to help you travel more together. See you soon, pal!